Slowly open your eyes. Namo Namah.
नमो
Namo Namah.
नमः।
After long time.
शादी के बाद
Bobby
Yes,
said,
it's been just wanting to get back.
बच्चे भी गए वापस?
हाँ अभी just day before.
Okay.
nice. So just getting back to our last yama, we did aparigraha last time. Aparigraha pratishthan janma kathanta sambodha. So that was the sutra related to aparigraha. Aparigraha means not doing parigraha. Parigraha means to gather, to possess, to collect,
Hold.
to collect, hold. So the homework was to check on what all things we are holding, and the list was endless. No? So, Manu, can you give me my...
So, our teacher used to tell us, if you are having 15 things or 20 things, that doesn't mean you should have less things. If you're having 20 things, no problem, have them. But if a moment comes when you have to let go any of it, be willing to do that. And for that, a person can be having a hoarding tendency even with one thing.
So it is not holding, it is possessive.
That you are holding on to, it's the attitude that you're holding on to. That's what it's a parigraha.
Yeah. So being possessive about it, that is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, is it one way out for those who believe in Patanjali and are also holding? उन्होंने एक राइडर लगा दिया कि
नहीं,
it's
but
okay.
that's the aparigraha is your attachment. Even when we discuss the commentary in it, it is your attachment to the thing. जितना आप उसकी attachment से बाहर निकलोगे, उतना आप उसकी, जब if I am holding on to something, तो मुझे present things में ही अटका रहूंगा, because I am holding on to this, that. पकड़ लिया ना, जितना मैं उसका, आफ्टर ऑल मेरा होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी फिजिकली इतना ही है, मैं 10 ही चीजें पकड़ सकता हूँ. बट व्हेन आई स्टार्ट लीविंग एंड लेटिंग गो, आई स्टार्ट एक्सप्लोरिंग मोर ना, मैं किसी भी चीज को जब चाहे उठा सकता हूँ. माई चित्त गेट स्टक विथ माई पोजेशंस, and that is why it is not able to go back into my previous lives. That was the contention the sutra was talking about. So जितना आप होल्डिंग में से बाहर निकलो, अपरिग्रह करो, डिटैच करो अपने आप को, उतना चित्त विल अनफोल्ड इट्स लेयर्स एंड लेयर्स एंड लेयर्स.
So, there are many things which you can hold on to, many things which you can be attached to. And I'm not saying bad things, it may be good things also. No?
Yeah.
So, is it that your habits, the sanskar, that's also attachment. No? So, good good habits are also attachment. Every day morning I get up, I do my japa, I do my small exercise, bed exercise, and mantra and everything. I'm holding on to it. Do you call that as parigraha?
If
Okay,
you
Anupam.
are stuck with your habit so much so that the a day when you are not able to follow your routine and you're grumpy about it, that is the problem. That means the routine is not helping you, the routine is tying you. It's like you think you're walking the dog, but actually the dog is walking you.
सर इसमें हठ योग प्रदीपिका में भी वो बाधक तत्व में एक यही है ना?
है ना?
following the
है ना?
discipline to the
हाँ,
yeah
नियमाग्रह.
niyam grah.
Niyamagraha, correct. Right,
Correct. So
Anurag.
Niyamagraha is also Niyamagraha. See, in Hatha Yoga, they talk about in terms of the always in terms of the energy. Pran. Patanjali doesn't talk in terms of energy. He talks about the mental sanskar and these things. So according to Patanjali, it ties you and it binds you to a particular lifestyle, and you lose your freedom to remember, freedom to be available to things which are existing, but you are not able to connect to them. But in Hatha Yoga, they are not saying anything about that. It is directly only my body and the more coarse uh, avaran. So they're talking about energy, pran. So if you're finding yourself to the niyama and you're strict about them to the extent that that niyama rules you, then it becomes it sucks energy. All those badhak tattva, they will suck your energy. Prayashasva, your laulyam, or atyahar, ati nidra, all these things, they will reduce your energy levels. But Patanjali does not talk about it. Both have their own ways of looking at things. So it's good to
But
understand the different
but sir,
distinction.
that physical won't remain at physical. No? Ultimately, it becomes
Ultimately, yes, of
mental
course.
only.
हाँ, वो
Ultimately,
बात
it
सही है.
is yeah, that energy.
बराबर है.
हाँ.
That is why Hatha Yoga will ultimately culminate into Raja Yoga. No? Hatha Yoga body practices क्यों करना चाहिए? Body and pranic practices क्यों करना चाहिए? Because that will land ultimately to your mind only. Mind is Raja Yoga. To be able to tame your mind, to be able to discipline your mind, to rule your mind. That is Raja Yoga. So body and breath practices are ultimately meant for that only. तो होने वाला तो पार्टी योग में शुरुआत में ही कहा है ना.
So,
So that is there.
Niyamagraha means what? Can somebody add in?
Niyamagraha means, Sriram, would you ask? Niyamagraha is sticking to rules. Jagruti will
Taking.
explain that better.
Okay. Oh, you.
Yeah.
Why, sir? Why me?
No, you are a certified teacher. Yeah. Many of the people who are present here are not certified teachers. So in front of your faculty, Anuradha ma'am, yeah, so give you a chance to display
Yeah.
your certification skills.
So in the example that is normally given is like you if you are used to taking a shower before doing your asan or yoga practice, and if one day you're not able to have shower and you're still stuck, no, without that I will not practice.
Very true.
That is going to ultimately harm you, and that is what Art Yoga says, that don't be very rigid. You have
So
Rigidity.
we should let go. We should be flexible
let
once in a while,
flexible.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
but at the
means
same time,
mostly the
dhairya is also required and discipline is also required.
yeah,
So
but the
this is like your direction is towards that, but one aberration here and there should not disturb you. That's what Hatha Yoga says. But Patanjali is saying differently over here. Patanjali is talking about collecting and holding and possessing things. So in that possession, the I-ness also comes in picture. So you, you must have found, if you have done samiksha over this in the last week, there are so many things. In fact, everything is related to me only. It's I. Everything is I. So for being possessive about that, okay, I want my clothes. I want this particular type of clothes to wear when I'm going out, particular type of shoes, the simplest examples. And then a particular soap, particular type of toothpaste. I want to have this kind of perfume, whatever. So the things which we use, easiest thing is to identify with them, things which we use, and then identifying with our relationships also. I like to speak to some people like this, who are like this, or particular set of people. I like to speak to only them or relate with only them. So being possessive about relationships. So this is all a parigrah. Any sharing on that? If there is any, yeah, yeah, Aditi.
Where does my OCD come into picture in this? Is it like if my house is not clean, I can't sleep. I just can't sleep. So that is
Yes,
bad, right?
yes.
To leave the house dirty and sleep.
The OCD does not come in the cleanliness. The issue is about the my house. Hmm. I think it is that ownership and being possessive about your house. Are you equally uh, sensitive about the cleanliness outside your house? That is also the question.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Then
Not in the
it is
same intensity, but
in the,
yes. Because it's not
so it
out
is
in my
lit,
control, so
so
I
it is
can't do
not going
much.
up, then it is going more towards your uh, Hatiyog Niyamagraha
Yeah.
rather than the aparigraha. That's what my thought.
Sir,
That may be
all
different.
this, sir, all this, since we are doing this from the point of view of practical application, if we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
very deep, if we go very deep in this, no, holding on to being a perfectionist, like she says that I don't like if my house is not clean, you want to be perfectionist, you want this specific clothes, you want this soap, that is being perfectionist in your own way. Ultimately, if you will go very deep, you will understand that ऐसे लोग, they suffer from so many diseases, finally. इसके लिए it's better that we understand and let go. Because
Yeah, see, at the bottom, at the surface of it is clash. If you go at
yes,
the bottom of it, everything is clash. It is
yes.
identity, me, it is likes, it is dislike. Yeah. So we will come to that today. Most probably we'll come to that today when we talk about shaucha, cleanliness later on. We'll talk about it more in detail. But it's about me, identity. And if you say that no, it's not only about me. Anywhere outside, I'm equally finicky about dirt or cleanliness. Then it's about a strong like and dislike. See, this strong like and dislike, it comes everywhere. You have to, when you are doing your samiksha, you have to inspect that strong like and dislike. And the more successful you become, the more uh, so-called maturity you get, that like and dislikes, they grow. Because you have found your space and you have achieved your likes. बचपन में कैसा है, चलो आई डोंट लाइक दिस थिंग, हम लोग हॉस्टल में थे वर्दा, आई डोंट लाइक टू हैव दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग, बट क्या करें, अभी यही है, खाना यही पड़ेगा. तो we don't
I,
have
I,
any choice.
on
But
this
today
point
you have a
about
choice.
sorry, on this point about perfectionism, because I've been thinking about it for the last several days. I think there is a question about the I-ness piece on the likes and dislikes and being very specifically caught onto it. But I think there is a different I-ness, at least for myself in my own samiksha. The I-ness that I was thinking about is the ability for me to control the outside environment. So it seemed to me to be a little bit of I want the outside environment to be like I want it to be. I want the other person's perception of me to be like I want it to be. I want my own perception of myself to be like I am Mohammed Rafi. and I want you also to think that I'm Muhammad Rafi, right? So that
But
piece,
that's not a very uncommon thing. No? It's a very, very common. It's just that you are aware of it, and other people are not aware of it.
no, no, the point I was making is that not that it is not common. The point I make, the point I am making is that therefore, if I view it as it is a liking or a disliking, then you can say you should let it go. But I think if I view it as control, it allows, because then I can say, oh, it's very hard for me to let it go. It's like gulab jamun. I can't walk past the store. I have to completely not go on the road at all. I can't even go down the road
Hmm.
and let it go. Right. So I try to avoid it. But when I think of it as control, then I am able to say, how arrogant is it of me that I can think that I can control what you think. But then I dislike arrogance. And so if I frame it as, oh, it is arrogance, it is easier for me to let go than if I frame it as it is a liking. So that was my thought process
So
on this.
you are kind of preferring liking over the violence.
Yeah,
Whereas,
exactly. Yeah.
whereas,
So,
where,
yeah.
whereas, like the arrogance sits over liking only.
Yes.
Arrogance जो है वो like dislike के ऊपर ही बैठता है.
Yeah.
जो because if you see the hierarchy, then clash is at the bottom. Out of the clash are created vitarka, which is arrogance is a vitarka. Okay, because you don't like something, because your mind is uncomfortable with something, and you choose to express that dislike, dvesh, in terms of words, so that hinsa of arrogance comes out. So it sits topward. So I think we should get it clear that we did good that we did klesha earlier, and now we are talking of vitarka, different yama,
Hmm.
whether it is ahimsa or asatya or steya. It sits over the klesha. So klesha is the bed, klesha मूल है, and उसके ऊपर वितर्क आया है. So I think it is very clear. And
Hmm.
only thing is, Patanjali goes a step ahead and he differentiates. He puts the vitarkas in different baskets so that the understanding is clear. And the
Yeah.
basket which we currently are discussing is about the possessions, possessiveness. And though
Hmm.
I personally feel that many of these are, you know, mix into each other. There is no, you know, the fixed line which is differentiating between them. Sometimes, the satya may overlap into steya, steya may
Yeah.
overlap into brahmacharya. ऐसा हो
Yeah.
सकता है.
I was wondering whether the reason, because none of these things, these have been very, very carefully thought through. And my thinking on this is that the reason they have given all these flavors is that a different thing resonates with each person. For me, if I can frame something that I like, dislike, or I'm doing as arrogance, then very quickly I'm able to unwind
Correct.
from that,
It
because
is.
arrogance I don't like. and
You're
and so it
absolutely right. I
gives you a
mean,
choice and says pick whatever you want, whichever one you don't like, you use that to kind of fix yourself.
correct. Exactly. I mean, it's so true. I thank you for that statement because it brings me in that present to the concept that everything is there, but just because Patanjali has put them in different boxes, he has defined it properly, I can identify with it and I can say, oh yeah, this is what I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to some extent, what you're saying is your self-image or asmita. Means my self-image is that I am not arrogant.
Yes.
The fact that my self-image says that I'm not arrogant means that that is a strong driver to change. Okay, so in some sense, you're hooking up to your self-image to say that, oh, this contradicts my self-image. So yeah, I find it easy to say I'll not do it.
And that itself is arrogant in a sense, right? So that itself is egoistic. So
Right.
yeah, it's, yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes when it is contradicting your self-image that I am not arrogant is my image, मेरे मन में है ये, but the whole world sees me as arrogant, then I don't accept it. That is where the problem comes. Because my self-image is I am not arrogant. I am not arrogant, and you people are arrogant. That's problem in you, not
Yeah.
so it's identification.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
में ईगो बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर है आपको पहले ईगो ही होना पड़ेगा और क्योंकि पहले अविद्या है ignorance अविद्या फर्स्ट चाइल्ड इज ईगो अस्मिता एंड बिकॉज आई हैव अ वैल्यू ऑफ आई then the I has a choice, or the I has I don't like or I like. So Dvesha and Raga comes only because I am present. And I am present only because I am ignorant about the real me, the real consciousness which is there, and the I, which is the individuated I, is only a functional entity for that higher I, higher self, to come to a experience of liberation, to realize that it is actually free.
Yeah.
So I think,
Sorry. Yeah.
so a realization of all this, these compartments, what Patanjali is given, and identifying कि ये मेरा हिंसा है, ये मेरा सत्य है, ये मेरा stay है. By developing awareness of that, what we are actually doing is we are trying to s- identify my asmita, identity, and separate it out so that I go a little nearer towards the true self or the higher self. So I become a little higher version of myself, upgraded version, upgrade version. So what is the unupgraded version? What is the most rudimentary version of mine? Where I flow into whatever comes into my mind. I I'm a free bird. Free bird means not a controlled bird at all. It just flows. हवा इधर से आ गई तो इधर गया, हवा उधर आ गई तो उधर चला. That is me. And wherever there is any kind of pull, I'll get flow to that. Any other kind of pull from other side, I'll go there. And when there is pull from both the sides, I get stressed. That is why the stress and strain in my life is there. This is a life of a completely uninitiated person who doesn't know about the consciousness, or he is not aware about the doesn't have that awareness. Plain, I mean, he's not aware about the inner knowledge. कुछ नहीं है कि मैं क्या हूँ, और he is in no way initiated into the direction of the true self. Agreed that everybody, all of us do have identities. क्लेश तो सबको ही है, but direction एक होना चाहिए ना. एक डायरेक्शन है कि मुझे यहाँ जाना है, तो जिसको वो डायरेक्शन है वो यहाँ पर है, जिसको डायरेक्शन नहीं है वो यहाँ नहीं है. जो कि मतलब नहीं है, इसका मतलब है कि दे हैव फाउंड आउट दैट yes there is something, otherwise it is very difficult to stand this 1.5 hours. ये सब बातें झेलना बहुत मुश्किल है. अगर कोई रिकॉर्डिंग देखे तो 2 मिनट भी नहीं सह सकेगा ये सब. But we are actually participating because that thirst is there, na? In Advait, in the Jnana Yoga, it is called as Mumukshatva. Mumukshatva is the desire to
Longing
identify intensely
for liberation.
liberation. So we are not looking for liberation though, but we are at least looking for finding out truth,
Upgradation. In our terms,
upgradation.
we'll call it upgradation. We want to grow from where we are. We want to learn, change, because we all are the people who have seen something needs to be altered. That we are पक्का. हमको पता चले कि हमको अपने अंदर परिवर्तन लाना है. क्योंकि जितना हम परिवर्तन ला पा रहे हैं उतना हमारा ग्रोथ हो रहा है, ये हमको समझ में आ गया है। इतना समझ में आया, सो वी डेफिनेटली वांट टू गो ahead more and more. So this is mumukshatva. Yeah.
And then there are some people who are regularly there and coming for both the seasons. तो वो intense longing हो गया है.
Right.
Okay, I hope so. So that is what is so now we have covered all the yamas. The natural progression is to go to the niyama, but I thought that before going to the niyama, we should touch upon again the concept of pratipaksha bhavana, because Patanjali also does that. Patanjali has initially he has said that these are the five yamas, and these are there are yamas means that is the ideal thing. आइडियल पर्सन महाव्रत जो करता है हिंसा अहिंसा का, उसको ये फल मिलता है. सत्य का जो व्रत लेता है महाव्रत, उसे क्रिया फल श्रेयत्व मिलता है. अस्तेय का जो व्रत लेता है, ही इज एस्टेब्लिश्ड इन अस्तेय, ही गेट सर्वरत्नोपस्थानम. ब्रह्मचर्य का पालन जो 100% करता है उसको वीर्य लाभ मिलता है. ब्रह्मचर्य एंड परिग्रह अपरिग्रह का जो पालन करता है उसे जन्म कथांत संबोधन मिलता है. ये सब उसने डिफाइन. दीज आर ऑल लॉज विच ही हैज एस्टैब्लिश्ड. ऑफ कोर्स ही आल्सो नोस दैट it is
His,
not possible.
sorry to cut you, Nitin. Uh, this Patanjali in his language is he is very clear. At no point it is a law which is established by Patanjali. It
Hmm,
is
universal.
something which is universal, and it is just like apple नीचे गिर गया तो ग्रेविटी काम कर ही रहा है. तो किसी ने उसको इन्वेंट नहीं किया है, वो नेचुरल लॉ है. वैसे ही
Discovery.
नेचुरल लॉ है ये, वो हमको बता रहा है और उसे हमको ले जा रहा है. वो कोई कुछ
So
पतंजलि ने.
he is not, he clearly he is not into forming a religion. He is not into giving you a path which you have to follow, and only after following that you will get moksha, or only after following that you will get. But he says that if you do this, this will happen. It is your choice. तो ये एक अवेयरनेस होना जरूरी है. And now, coming back to that discussion of yamas. So, if you don't follow that, then what happens? Vitarka. If you don't follow ahimsa, what you're doing? Hinsa. What Vardha was speaking about, arrogance or any kind of. So that is hinsa. If you don't follow satya, then what does it lead to? Asatya. If you don't follow asteya, then what is the vitarka? Steya, stealing. If you don't follow brahmacharya, you are indulging. If you don't follow aparigraha, then you are hoarding. And the whole exercise of what we have been doing of samiksha was to be aware of those imperfections, to identify those imperfections. Because now we have got a scale, we know that there is something called ahimsa, there is something called satya, something called asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. So, in reference to that scale, where do I stand? That will bring my awareness on. And again, it is why it is important, but because this standard, ये जो हमको दिया गया है, ये किसी ने बनाया हुआ नहीं स्टैंडर्ड है. ये वी आर नॉट फॉलोइंग एनी रिलीजन, वी आर नॉट फॉलोइंग एनी टेस्टमेंट or anything like that. This is a universal law which we are following. Okay, so we are being as natural as possible, coming most close to the nature, because this is how it works. This is how nature works. Okay? So when we are trying to come close to that, then we know that okay, how far away from nature we are. If we are doing hinsa, we are going far away from nature. Okay? If we are doing speaking untrue things, false things, then we are going far away from nature. And that that is called as vitarka. Going far away is vitarka. And for that, Patanjali says, vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. Vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam means if you want to go away from vitarka or remove vitarka from your life, then what do you have to do? Pratipaksha bhavanam. Bhavana is actually bhavana is the emotion. Okay? So I'm tempted to go back to uh, I'm not referring to any commentary, but I'm just remembering what our Guru Swami Niranjananand Saraswati in our last stay with Diya School Yoga, he said, or his disciples told us that bhavanam or emotion comes first, then comes the thought. Emotion is the first seed, thought comes after that. So you feel sad first, and then you start thinking about what are the things which are making me sad. You feel happy first, and then you will think, oh, this is what is making me happy. So what pratipaksha bhavana means opposite feeling. तो opposite feeling कैसे आएगा? How will the opposite feeling happen? We have learnt one of the opposite acts. What we have done is वो प्रच्छर्दन विधारणाभ्याम वा pranasya, breathing out and suspending our breath and trying to reverse that. Yeah? So that is one a little plus one technique. That means a little peripheral technique. That is also not a technique which is hitting your emotion. It is hitting your action only. You're doing some action, and through that action, we are expecting that the bhavana will change. It does happen. Of course, it happens. That's why Patanjali is given. Pratipaksha bhavanam means developing the opposite emotion, but for developing the, are you control in your control? Are you able to control your emotion?
No.
Are you able to control your thought?
To an extent, okay.
Are
From
you
my
able to
side.
control your action?
Yes.
Yes. So it goes in that order. You're able to control your action. If I decide I have to close my fist, I can do it very easily. Can I control my breath? A little more difficult, but it can be done. Can I control my thought? More difficult. Can I control my emotion? Almost impossible. Because that hits me first. And that is what is going to define my thought. It's going to define from the thought, it is going to define my breath, that is my prana, and that prana is going to define my actions also. That's why pratipaksha bhavana means if you can change your bhavana, then the whole direction changes. If you are angry, is there anything, or if forget about anger, that's an emotion. But if you are, can you give me one action of hinsa? Arrogance. चलो arrogance के बारे में बात करते हैं. If you find that you are speaking arrogantly, you are in a flow of speaking arrogantly, at that moment, can you reverse it? Just think about it. Yes, Kiran, bolo. You have something to say.
हाँ सर, एटलीस्ट एक्शन तो बोलना तो एक्शन है, उसको हम लोग कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं.
बट वो बोलना किसी का रिजल्ट है.
दैट इमोशन वी हैव टू गो इन द बेस, वो कंट्रोल करना डिफिकल्ट है, बहुत डिफिकल्ट.
तुमने एक्शन तो स्पीच को तो कंट्रोल कर लिया, थॉट थॉट तो नहीं कंट्रोल होगा.
थॉट थॉट डिफिकल्ट है, पर
हाँ.
फिर भी थोड़ा सा कर सकते हैं.
अभी डोमेस्टिक एग्जाम्पल देने का है तो मदर इन लॉ द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल. मदर इन लॉ के सामने बोल तो नहीं सकते, लेकिन मन में उसको 1000 गाली बिंदास दे सकते हैं. तो दैट सो द हिंसा इज नॉट स्टॉप्ड. इज इट पॉसिबल दैट आई एम एंग्री or I'm arrogant, and then I do something by which that emotion itself changes? If the emotion changes, then what will happen?
Yeah, I leave
Can
the
you
room,
can
sir. I take a U-turn and leave the room. So I avoid that situation completely when I'm angry. I just take deep
okay,
breaths and
agreed,
get out of the situation. So no need for
agreed.
reaction.
But after
That's
going
my
to other
escapism.
place, got it? That is escapism. You use the right word. So after going to other room, does the thought change? Does the emotion change?
It's faster. That emotion changes faster because that visual is not there in
You
my.
have
It helps.
facilitated the change of emotion. Very good. Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
The
So
emotion may not get stronger because you will stop yourself from doing actions that will amplify it.
correct, correct. Yeah. So these are all our hacks, our own ways of managing it. But what Patanjali is saying is he has given some hacks for instant changing of. It's like we have found a solution which works, but we have not understood the principle and we are using the action just by fluke, or this is something which I can do. But can you do it better? Can you do it better? So for that,
Like, sir, like staying in the same room with in the same situation, then controlling your emotions. Are you saying that? And your
yeah,
actions?
maybe yes, possibly yes.
Tough to
And
try,
not
but
only and turning that anger into something neutral, if not love.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
That is
think
important.
the example, Nitin, that I use every time, because by the way, I'm sorry to keep popping in and out, but I'm trying to experience this
You're
session in a
welcome.
different way. But whoever was speaking just now is everything
Jagrati.
that what's her name?
Jagrati.
Jagrati.
Yeah.
Jagrati. Everything
Jagrati.
that Jagrati says when I'm listening, it's essentially me. I do the same thing, and I avoid. I
Everyone.
walk away. I walk away, and this reminds me of the last Patanjali thing when you used to talk about the road which has the gulab jamun shop. You can avoid that road completely, or you can walk down the shop, walk past the gulab jamun room, smell it, and still not want to eat it. So, my thing, Jagrati, in my experience, when I have avoided and walked away, and I have not been able to not avoid it, to this date, I still avoid and walk away, which means that I'm disconnecting. I'm taking myself away from the situation which is poking me, which is causing the emotion, and therefore I don't have that emotion anymore. But every time when I get back into the same situation, I have not taken away the ability of that situation to create that emotion. That ability I have not taken away. So the thing that has helped now, again, I think that the bifurcation of the action and the thought and the emotion and trying to understand the connection between those things is very, very useful. But when I did do the piece about taking a deep breath, calming down, and just becoming aware of the fact that this particular situation caused this particular emotion, it has helped, but it has not yet completely taken away the ability of that situation to create the same anger again and again. But I have heard from others that when they flipped the situation around and they thought of it differently, like this individual is not doing whatever they are doing to hurt me, but they are doing whatever they are doing because it is out of their own control. It is my assumption that the other person has control over their own actions. and therefore they should be doing actions to not hurt me.
Intentionally.
And it is their fault. It is my attaching of the intent to their actions which has caused my issue. So right now I am at the
Beautiful.
stage where I have realized that the real problem is not their action, it is my reaction.
Absolutely right.
And therefore
So,
that's
so
that's
beautifully
the
put, Vardha. I think you just, the way you put it is absolutely convincing and great. I mean, this is exactly what it is. Now, the only point is over here is that ability to not get affected by what the other person is saying, because that is not his intention, it's not his conscious action. He is also equally unconscious in his action, the way you are unconscious about receiving it and digesting it.
Unconscious of your reactions.
Of your
yes,
reaction,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Yes.
where is the solution? The solution is either one of the party becomes conscious,
Hmm.
and this becoming conscious, that is where the pratipaksha bhavanam comes in picture. Unconscious is what? Something outside is changing me. Conscious means what? Something inside is
Yeah.
controlling me, or something inside I'm guided by. So where is the pratipaksha bhavana? Pratipaksha bhavana is to go from outside to inside, change the direction from outside to inside. And this is exactly what Patanjali intended to say when he said Pratipaksha Bhavana. He never said that some people use very, very lame explanations of, Vitarka Badhane Pratipaksha Bhavana. They said when you are angry, smile and develop love. Impossible. Impossible. It's fake. It's not possible. So what he intended is, if you can change the flow of the mind which is going out to inward, that is going to be pratipaksha bhavana. And what is inside? Because if you have to change direction, it's like magnet. There's a magnet which is pulling you out. Now you have to change the direction and make it move you inwards. What is required? Is there a stronger magnet inside which can pull you?
Hmm.
And what is that stronger magnet? That stronger magnet
And
Conscious.
is
being
your higher
Awareness.
self. It is your true self. It is the self. It's the understanding of the self. And that is why Patanjali has given Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga.
आम आदमी की भाषा में बोले तो जब भी कुछ गड़बड़ चल रहा है, द अदर पर्सन इज मिसबिहेविंग, से फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपको समझ में आया ना? जिसको समझा उसने चुप बैठने का,
No,
because
but
the minute
it's not.
you start understanding, you are becoming aware. So because see, if the other person is going wrong, what I am doing is I am trying to correct it. I am expecting you to be getting right, and how he should get right, I am trying to argue or whatever, and वो चलते रहेगा, लेन देन, शाब्दिक लेन देन चलते रहेगा, और एक्शन लेन देन चलते रहेगा. But the minute you realize it, you need to stop. You need to keep quiet. You just need to wait for the wind to change its direction.
One more point. Again, keeping quiet is just an action. Keeping quiet is an action. Yes, you can do, and still the thoughts may go on inside.
Yep.
ये होता ही है, ऐसे ही होता है. वो अंदर I just remembered, we just watched one drama last week. In that, there is one guy who flares up at every small thing. So his brother says, okay, every time you get that feeling of anger and aggression, you should count numbers inside your mind. Okay, okay, ठीक है, I will do that. Okay, so what he does, he just counts 13, 14, 15, 15. 50, 51, 52, 53. That's what happened. So that this counting has got no sense. It's just an action. The emotion has not changed inside. So the emotion changing inside is going to happen with that awareness. Awareness of what? Of the stronger magnet inside. That stronger magnet inside is that which makes you realize that what I am just now is a poor version of me. It's realize always, anytime, कोई भी situation हो, just think this is a poor version of me. Let me get into a better version of.
This
Let me
is tying to what GK told me. I was feeling very good about the fact that with this arrogance thing, I'm able to control my perfectionism kind of a piece. And then he just reminded me that, hey, that is also ego, right? But if you
yeah.
think about it step by step, it is the same thing. I am a poor version of me, right? I am not perfect. Everything around me is dirty, my room is dirty, my table is dirty, I'm a poor version of me, I'm feeling very bad. And then I say I want to get a better version of me, so let me try to clean, right? And then I realize, no, trying to think that I can control other people's homes and keep that clean is being very arrogant, and being arrogant is a poor version of me. So let me be not arrogant and be this calm self where I don't care about whether things around me are clean or not. That moved me one step from being a bad version of me to being a better version of me, because now I'm not arrogant. Now I'm not assuming that everything outside is in my control. I think we have to keep peeling back the layers to say, even thinking that trying to control others is arrogant and therefore now I am not arrogant is in itself not in touch with my true self. It is only in touch with my perception of myself, which is I am a not arrogant person. So I need to keep going back until I
So
realize.
where will that search end?
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
question is, now where is that search going to end? And that is exactly where what Patanjali says in Kriya Yoga is Swadhyaya.
yeah, yeah,
Swadhyaya. More and more study about the true self. In Patanjali, he talked about Ishwar.
yeah.
Okay, it will be very nice to talk about Ishwar at this stage. Ishwar is a very big
Hold,
topic,
Nitin,
but not
hold.
now.
We are in the Niyama topic, and we have just started with
I know, no, I'm
Pratika
not. Sorry, I'm not going into Ishwar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going into Ishwar,
and
but a little trailer of that Ishwar, and Ishwar is not Ram, Krishna, Shankar, no, Ganesh, no, 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 it's not that. Ishwar is a concept. Ishwar is a concept which has been very well described in Patanjali in the first chapter. But what essentially it means is I've given you some lines, no? Sometime when we're talking about Kriya Yoga, given you some. So is this, is that, is that. So if you have that picture in mind, this is the ultimate which you can reach. You'll never reach, but this is the ultimate which you can reach. So when you have to improve your version, first of all, you have to believe that this is not my true self. This is my
Mhm.
poor version, which means what? You can upgrade it. You have to negate your own identity. This is not me. This is just a facade. This is just an avaran of me, which is not true. First of all, get that thing very, very clear in your mind. Don't get attached to, मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ. Some people have that, no? मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ, मैं तो ऐसे ही करूँगा. That is exactly what needs to be, nullified. You are not like that, because there is some ability inside you by which you can become a better version. First of all, you have to get that belief. And when you have that belief, then where do I go? What is my higher version? Then that definition has been given to you. This is what it is. This is the highest self. And when you develop that, and when you are practicing that Kriya Yoga always, the chanting Om. Why chanting Om? Because it gives you an insight of what is the higher self. Try doing that. Om chanting, if you do as a regular practice, you will not be you will be always rather in touch with that true self, with that higher self. You'll have, when you close your eyes, you will be in touch with that. Otherwise, when you close your eyes, you can't get away with your false identity. तो वो ट्रू सेल्फ के साथ कनेक्शन जब हो जाता है, नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट टर्निंग द डायरेक्शन. यू नो वेयर टू गो, बट एक्सेलरेटर दबाना है ना अभी, यू टू मूव. जस्ट नोइंग इज नॉट इनफ, मूवमेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड. प्रतिपक्ष भावना, मूवमेंट. तो दैट मूवमेंट विल बी ब्रॉट बाय द सरेंडर, ईश्वर प्रणिधान.
I want to come in now. We will, for putting it into practice, we'll take a homework. Okay? And the homework is, मुझे फाइंड आउट करना है अभी के अभी मेरे में ऐसा क्या गड़बड़ है, व्हाट इज दैट रॉन्ग इन मी. जैसे मैं मेरा एनी सम हैबिट, सम थॉट which principally I know is incorrect. Principally I know it is incorrect. उसके ऊपर हमको काम करना है. तो अभी ऐसे सोचिए, आपके घर में डस्टबिन है, आप घर में कचरा साफ करते हो and you throw it into a dustbin. Now that you have thrown, why have you thrown it? Because you know it is not correct to keep kachra in my house, so I am throwing it, right? So the thought, the action in me, which I know is not right, I need to get rid of it. I need to throw it. So, for example, I am having this thought that I am not arrogant and I want to train the other person, like how Varda was saying. Or I have this thought, जैसे जागृति बोली कि no, I want to clean my house before I sleep. So, if this thought is disturbing every family member in your house, if this thought is disturbing your peace of mind, then it is something you need to overcome. Why I am not overcome is because I am so consumed by this thought that I am, whatever I am doing, that very act has become my identity. It's like there is no difference between in you and the another person who is a totally addict and वो 24 घंटा सुबह उठते हो उसको दारू पीना चालू करना है. वो ड्रंकार्ड में और मुझ में कोई फर्क नहीं है, क्योंकि वो जैसा helpless है because of his addiction, in the same way I am becoming helpless or caught into the web of this thought. अगर ये मुझे समझ में आया कि ये मेरा थॉट का वेब है जिसमें से मुझे बाहर आना है, अगर ये मुझे समझ में आ गया है, दैट मीन्स दैट इज देयर इज माय इनर कॉन्शियस, मेरा सेल्फ है, वो ऊपर उठ के मुझे इशारा कर रहा है, ये मेरे को समझ में आ गया. सो इट इज लाइक जैसे मुझे मेरे घर से कचरा फेंकने का है, जैसे मुझे मेरे दिमाग से कचरा फेंकने का है, और वो मेरे दिमाग से जा नहीं रहा है. क्यों जा नहीं रहा है? कि मेरा मन उस कचरे से चिपका हुआ है ना. आई एम सो कनेक्टेड विद दैट कचरा. वो कचरा मुझे प्यारा लग रहा है और मैं उससे अलग नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ अपने आप को. अगर आपने ऐसा देखा है, तो अगर ये ऐसा है, तो इसी को पतंजलि कह रहे हैं ये सब वितर्क है. और अगर ये वितर्क आपको निकालना है, तो उसके लिए आपको प्रतिपक्ष भावना का टूल ही अपनाना है. तो अभी आप पेन पेपर लेंगे, अभी यानी कि नॉट अभी, मे बी इन द नेक्स्ट 24 hours, बट डेफिनेटली. सो what we will do is we can put it in the group. If you have penned it down, you can just put a thumb, I have done it. तो आपका you have done it message will prompt other person also to, अरे मेरा अभी तक नहीं हुआ है, मैं भी कर देता हूँ, मैं भी कर देता हूँ. So that all of us do this exercise of finding this mental kachra in me. And just say we have a physical dustbin in the house, you actually make a carry bag or some basket or some bag, you keep it, write down that thought and put that thought into that basket, which is the dustbin of my thought, which is the dustbin of my emotion. वो डस्टबिन में डालो. अभी आप मुझे बताओ जो चीज डस्टबिन में डाली, आर यू गोइंग टू पुट इट बैक एंड पुट इट इन योर हाउस? अगर मैंने ये थॉट को मेरा थॉट डस्टबिन, इमोशन डस्टबिन में डाल दिया तो वो चला गया उसमें. अगर वो थॉट आपको छेड़ने लग गया तो आपको क्या करना है? जाना है, जिसको मैंने त्याग किया था उसको मैंने हाथ में उठाना है वापस, and you read it. This is my thought which I have actually discarded, and throw it back again. You remove it. Because why you have to remove it? Because the act that you have got engulfed into is you have already got into. So pick it from the emotion dustbin, hold it in your hand. I'm sure you will want to throw it back again. And when you're throwing it back again, the प्रतिपक्ष भावना is being reinforced. तो इसको ऐसे जैसे हमने अपने आप को लगातार गलती करने का हैबिट डाल दिया है, वैसे मैंने अपने आप को उस गलती से बाहर आने के लिए प्रतिपक्ष भावना का भी हैबिट डालना है. तो वो मेरा इमोशन डस्टबिन बनाएंगे, वे कचरा डालेंगे इमोशन. जैसे वो इमोशन सरफेस हो गया, पिक दैट कचरा इन माय हैंड. अरे मैं ये कचरा उठा रहा हूँ, एंड देन थ्रो इट बैक अगेन इन द डस्टबिन. जितनी बार आप मैं ये कचरा उठा रहा हूँ, ये थॉट रजिस्टर होते जाएगा. श्योर वी ऑल विल रीच टू द पॉइंट वेयर वी आर actually acting that Pratipaksha Bhavana of throwing it. Because what we are doing is we are not throwing it. That throwing is Pratipaksha. Because in that
Hmm.
throwing, I was in a state where I know this has to be thrown. So I have to go back to the state where it has to be thrown.
So, this is one way of doing it, and this is not the only way of doing it, but this is surely one way of doing it. And for some people, it may suit. I can see that some people are quite enrolled into this idea, but some people may not be enrolled into this idea because probably you are not. I mean, हम लोग क्या है कि हम लोग हम लोग गेहूं का आटा बनाते हैं, राइस का आटा नहीं बनाते. तो अगर हमारे पास गेहूं है तो उसका हम लोग रोटी बनाएंगे. राइस है तो हम लोग उसका चेवल चावल बिरयानी बनाएंगे ना. दाल है तो उसकी दाल दाल फ्राई बनाएंगे. So it depends on what you are and what is going to be convenient for you to do. So there are different ways in which you can do. For some people, this may work. For some people who are more into the breath work, maybe Prachardan Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya will work. Breathe out, hold your breath out, stay there, try it. Immediately your mind will go inward. That Pratibhaksha Bhavanam will make you aware and that version, the development of version or what the upgradation of yourself will automatically happen. It's that simple. For some people, it will be that simple. Just breathe out and hold your breath out. Immediately the upgradation happens. Once the upgradation happens, your thought will change. Emotion changes. Okay. You can try it just now. Just breathe out.
GK, you need to unmute if you're speaking.
Yeah. So, can I have an example of something that I should write and throw? I mean, just to be
Yeah,
clear.
this is one of the examples. I'm giving you one. I'm going to give you one more hack. This is one of the examples, but before going that, what Sandhya said is one of the things which you can do. Second is this breathing out and hold your breath out. Do it sincerely. Keep your breath out. Okay, should be done by now. And now when you open your eyes, do you find some change? Now you will not know what change has happened, but do you find that there is some change? In some kind of some thinking will change, some emotion will change. Because just now you are in a flow, you are not angry, you are not happy, you are not sad, you are in a flow of kind of absorption. But that absorption itself will stop, or there'll be some change in the mindset. Okay. For some people it may work, for some people it may not work. Again, I'm coming to tell you that. Now, third thing is again this higher self or the original nature, I call it as that, the original creative force. If you want to be nearer to that, then you have to think of nature. Think of nature. So the theory is that whatever is taking our mind outwards, whatever that vitarka is formed because our mind is going outward. And this outward thing, whatever it is there, it is smaller than the bigger nature, the original nature. So if you want to turn your mind inward, pratipaksha bhavanam karna hai, then think about nature. What is nature? You may have some picture of nature in your mind. You may have mountain, you may have sunrise, you may have moon, you may have river, you may have sea, you may have forest, anything which is unadulterated by a human action, which is anything which is much uh, powerful, much more powerful than a human being and human action. Something which a human mind cannot change or human action cannot change. Whatever you can think of. And we'll do again one more small example, small test, and think of that for a minute. Suppose you think that a sea is your example of nature. Think of a large ocean and try to continue that thought for 1 minute, whatever you can. Okay, you may open your eyes. We spend 1 minute for this. What has changed inside? Have things changed inside? Any change has happened? No for Anupama?
My
For no
heart
one?
rate, my heart rate went down a lot. A and secondly, I was thinking of Everest base camp, so I started actually feeling very cold because I was in
Okay.
that mountain area.
Yeah, quite possible.
On a superficial level, I felt that.
Yeah.
Nitin, every time I try to think of nature, there is a video that I play in my head. There's a beautiful 3-minute video that's Carl Sagan's. It's called The Pale Blue Dot. I think if you all have a chance, you can look it up or I'll send you the link. It's basically when they were shutting down Saturn Voyager, I think he had it turned back to Earth one last time and they took a video and then he has a narration behind that. I think I saw that video about 5-6 years ago, and that was like a starting point in my journey towards this. And so I even to this day I play it multiple times in my head over and over and over again. And like Jagrati said, she was feeling cold or feeling a heart rate went down. For me, it just reminds me of, in a way, my own insignificance in this on this earth. But it's also
Absolutely.
very thing, and it completely calms me down. So I think this exercise
Beautiful.
is
Please
very
do
relevant.
post, Sangeeta.
Yeah.
Please do post. That's what I was coming to.
Yep.
Sometimes you may not have an idea of the nature. I mean, you have not registered the nature in your mind anyway. So you may do an exercise of what Sangeeta says, some kind of a video. Only thing is, I am not so much in favor of a video as much I would say a direct experience. But
Yep.
yes, if not a direct experience, this is definitely the next best. And if you have some
It's
good
visual.
video, you can think of that. Though it is a human made, it's a man-made thing. A video is a man-made thing. So
Yeah.
there is an element of impurity in that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
if you suppose I think of this. Recently we had been to Sikkim and we saw Kanchenjunga and we were sitting in a place and suddenly we were sitting but it was the whole cloud was covering the peaks of mountain and in one instance a small 3 to 5 seconds suddenly the clouds vanished and we could see the peak of the Kanchenjunga and it just mesmerized me. And I was just looking at it like this, and people who was in other people were facing me. They did not know what was happening to this guy, and they also turned and then they saw. So this is something which the magic of nature, it it hits you. So maybe some experience, something like that might have been in your life. You can remember that. So all these things, this kind of a nature, remembrance of nature will do the pratipaksha bhavana.
Nitin,
And if you
earlier,
have that very handy, just the way Sangeeta says, I have that tape in her mind, whenever she wants, she can run that. So you can have your own tape and you
I
can run
also
that tape
have
in your mind. Yeah.
I also have another video in my head of a place that I visited. I don't know how many of you here might have been there, the Yellowstone National Park. And I'm sure this is true
Ah,
of many places all over the world. But the Yellowstone National Park, when I visited that place, that was another experience that was just beyond humbling, where you realize that you're just absolutely not in control, that nature can do whatever she wants. And
absolutely,
I think that
absolutely.
that was another thing that always calms me down. Yeah.
Correct? Because because you will find it anywhere, wherever. Why do you want to go too close to nature? Because you want to do pratipaksha bhavana. By nature, you are like that. Your nature itself is to go nearer to the mother nature because you want to you want to diminish your smaller identities. You want to, kind of kill those identities and drop them so that you can come nearer to the larger identity. That's your natural inclination. So when you get that, you become happy.
So one
And
question, see, the question I'm asking is, see, we have learned three techniques. Okay, one is writing it down on paper and putting it back, and let the thought comes back, come in. The other is breathe out and let the breathe go out, and then as long as possible,
Suspend the breath.
suspend it, then bring it back up. The other is think of nature. What should trigger this? That is my question. At what point should this be triggered?
Very good. Now for that we have done last 5 weeks this samiksha. to identify, your question is very, very, very relevant, because the starting point is you have to firstly identify, no? You have to first identify where I'm going wrong, or where I'm getting trapped into vitarka. For that, one good thing, one good way of handling that is the way Sandhya said, that you have to first of all find out these are the 5 things or 10 things which I find bad in myself. After doing some samiksha, you must have come to some conclusion. Oh, I tend to overeat, I tend to oversleep, I tend to tell lies, I tend to lose my temper. You must have got some idea after this. So you can pick up one or two of them. Okay, this is what I'm going to work on, and certainly you will identify. Okay, certainly you will identify that. If you don't identify in the samiksha, you will do it. And when you over and over again in your samiksha, you find that this is what I was not aware of. Next day, the awareness level will be very little higher. So it all falls back to awareness level. Okay. Now it's going to be again a very tricky thing, where you have identified it. The way Varda puts it, no? Okay, I have identified, but I am not able to now employ the technique. मुझे मालूम तो पड़ गया कि मुझे गुस्सा आता है, but at this point I have to do pratipaksh bhavanam is not hitting me. It is not, I don't have that enough faith, belief that I'm doing it. For that, what you have to do is you have to try it without any purpose.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
the way you tried it just now.
Yep.
दिन में 5 बार 10 बार try करो and observe the difference. Not to work on any particular vitarka, but just chuma, do it. Okay? So you will identify something is changing inside. When you know, when you develop that belief that yes, some change happens, at that time you can pick up, okay, now I'm going to use this on this particular vitarka. It's like doing your, you are in a gym and you are doing, I used to do small weightlifting, so weightlift पहले थोड़ा करके देख लिया, थोड़ा कर लिया, 10 बार कर लिया. Now I'm entering the competition and doing it in front of 100 guys. Okay, something like that. Doing some practice at home and then going to the world and facing it. So do it 10 times, then pick up, because क्या होता है ना, there is a resistance of using that skill also. If you are not good at that skill, when you really want it in your life, you will not be able to pick that because you're not confident of that. So to become confident of that, do it 10 times. Make it as a habit. पहले 2 दिन वही करो, बाकी कुछ नहीं करो. Try nature's trick, try the writing the note trick, try the Prachyadan Vidharanabhyam trick, just as a homework. See what works for you, what works for you.
I
And when
have
you know
something which
that,
I use. Can I use that? I mean, what I
yeah,
do
why not?
is
What is it?
I close my eyes and kind of disconnect from all my senses. I try to disconnect from all my senses.
Correct.
And
But what is the hook? Because that hook is very important. When you
no,
close your eyes, there has to be something which will make you flow inwards. Because otherwise, you close your eyes and think of the same thing which is happening outside.
no, that I understand. So
If it works for you, fine, no problem.
yeah, so it works for me. I try to connect with my guru in some sense.
Ah,
So I close my
no,
eyes and try to connect with my guru. So I
that
stop.
is also, see, this is in fact one of the ways which has been given by Patanjali. This is one of the ways Guru के बारे में सोचना, or Guru means anybody, anyone you think has got virtues. who's a better version than you. Let me put it this way. Who's a better version than you, connecting with that entity automatically elevates your identity.
Yeah,
That is
that
also
that
one of
is
the ways. Patanjali has given 6 such ways. I've picked up the most easiest of the breath, but he has given different 6 ways
so.
from
This I do
1.33
every
to
day.
1.39.
This I
Yeah.
do every day. So I
Yeah, it works. It works. It works. In fact, in 1.39, Patanjali says, or any other thing which can make your mind go inward, which means you can devise your own way, but you have to be really good skilled in it, that you know it is going to take you inward from out to in. Pratipaksha bhavana. Okay. But
सर व्हाट आर
I
दोस
did
सिक्स
not put
थिंग्स?
it. Yeah.
सर वो 6 थिंग्स आप जो बोल रहे हैं ना, जो
एक तत्व
ब्रेथ है,
अभ्यास. एक तत्व अभ्यास किरण 1.33 to 1.39. 34 होगा. एक तत्व अभ्यास. After chitta prasadanam. This is practical, Patanjali. This is PYS
Sir,
2.0. Don't do it only for theory. This is only for
sir,
use. That's why I'm not giving everything.
sir, Maharshi Patanjali Shri has told in this six remedies, ओमकार,
एक
एक
तत्व
तत्व,
अभ्यास.
भावना चतुष्टयम, फिर डिवाइन हॉबीज होनी चाहिए कि भाई पेंटिंग है, नेचर में जाओ, और फिर वो बाह्य कुंभक के लिए बार बार ये श्वास ही करने का है, और भावना
हम्म.
जैसे मैत्री करुणा मुदिता,
हम्म.
ये भी बोला है। फिर
Correct.
अभ्यास वैराग्य बोला है।
हम्म.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. That's what see, I'm not here to discuss the philosophy, Pushpaji. I'm talk
ये-
I am trying to put forth the thing which will work with people individually, and they have to get it into their life. I don't want
right,
to
right.
you to come back and say that these are the things which can be done. No. This is
Yeah,
what I
practically,
did. This is
yeah.
what I did, and it
Yes,
worked
yes,
for me.
practical. Yeah,
तो
yeah,
So,
I
ये
agree.
अपने
I,
लाइफ में बदलाव लाना जरूरी है. That is what it
हाँ,
yeah,
is.
so
बराबर।
I have a suggestion,
Yes,
viewers,
Sriram.
which I do practice because vitarka badane pratipakша bhavana.
But
You know?
correct.
So yeah, so in order to control the emotions, a step back, one step back before the emotion is a bodily feeling. Always your body will give you that feelings just before that emotion is thrown out. So if you are watchful of the uh, bodily feeling, what the body gives you as signals, you can catch hold and then travel inwards. So I've tried this a couple of times only. I'm not saying that I've
See,
practiced that.
Sriram, this is a very I would say higher state technique. This is
Uh,
close to Buddhism,
mm, mm,
the
yeah,
Vipassana, but
mm,
watching the Samvedna. And
mm,
for this, the awareness level has to be very high.
mhm, mm, mhm.
It
Okay.
requires the prerequisite of this is very high awareness level of your body, which unfortunately at the beginning stage, at the stage which I'm not saying beginning stage, but at least
Mm,
the stage at which we are, it is
mm,
difficult.
mm,
It's
mm,
not impossible. Someone may have naturally. That's why see each
mm,
person is made differently. Someone
mm, mm,
maybe you will have that sense. It will
mm.
work for you, not for somebody else.
Yes,
Just
yes.
as GK
I'm-
said, no, is
mm,
someone who is rooted in that guru's virtues. For him, that is
mm,
very easy.
mm, mm. Yeah,
For
true.
somebody,
It,
for somebody, some music piece also may work. Some
yes, yes.
natural music may work. So
Mm, mm,
someone like nature picture may work. For someone, the breath will work. For
mm,
someone,
mm.
something else will work.
Yeah,
Can
true.
you
That is
elaborate
what.
on this a little more?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
What Sri Ram said.
Yeah.
See, what Sri Ram is saying to watch the samvedana of body, the emotions, they work on the body and they give you some signals. They give you some signals. if you are aware of those signals, you will be in touch with that emotion and you can preempt that emotion. That's what he says.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
In Vipassana, if you've done a 10 days Vipassana, it can be it can be a little clear to you.
सर
In
मैंने
Vipassana, it
विपश्यना
is done.
किया है, विपश्यना तो ये
No,
पतंजलि
Vipassana is about Samvedna only.
हाँ, लेकिन संवेदना में क्या है सर कि भाई संवेदना आप फील करो, ओके, फिर उसको जाने दो,
Exactly,
एटीट्यूड,
exactly.
विटनेस एटीट्यूड। तो ये पतंजलि से मिलते ट्यूनिंग होता है, मैं तो ऐसा कहूंगी। तो प्रत्याहार कराते हैं, ये प्रत्याहार है। मुझे कुछ संवेदना हुई तो मैंने उसको फिर देखा, फिर जाने दिया, वो प्रत्याहार हुआ। तो पतंजलि से का ही हुआ ऐसे तो, इनके ट्यूनिंग होता है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है।
Yeah. What Sri Ram is saying is he has to, you have to identify what you are seeing, because ultimately what we have come down to, let us change the emotion. To change the emotion, something, there has to be some tool in your hand. What tool in the hand is identification of the samvedana, of the body sensations. If you identify that, probably you'll be able to change the emotion. But which I find it very difficult. For somebody else, it may be easy. तो इसलिए
Yeah,
ऐसा है ना, या इसीलिए
I
ऐसा
also,
है,
I also find it difficult only,
yeah,
but
yeah,
some places are.
just to make, no, that's why I said, that's why we are not here to make a list of what all things work.
Mm.
We are not
Awareness only.
doing any academic course over here. We are not writing notes on that, and we don't have to write a thesis. These are the things which will work. We are here to find out what works for me and put it to work.
What awareness I'm having.
We have to
I
find
put
out
it to work.
for you and put it in action. That's why what GK said, I agree completely, because that's something which works for him. That's fine, perfectly fine. So you have to find out what works for you. So let this week be the homework for, let's try to give our own sincere effort in that. What works for you? Does the breath work for you? Does the picture work for you? And when you know that it is working, try to employ it. When you are aware of your own vitarka, employ it. Okay. But I will give you one small trick for that. This will work when your homework of Kriya Yoga is regular. When you are doing the Tapaswadhyay Ishwar Pranidhan regularly, this exercise becomes a little simpler. Okay. But if you are not doing it, you may have a natural inclination to something which will work. Let's try to identify that. So let's try to find our natural inclination कि क्या मेरे साथ काम करता है. Anupama, which thing do you think out of the thing which we did today, which thing worked the best?
Sir, I have a very different input here. Ever since I did my NLP course way back in 2020, I have very staunchly believed in the thought that every action done by somebody which may lead to some negative reaction from you can be managed if you believe that that action has a noble intent. In the moment, you may not know the noble intent, but you just have to believe in that. And I have found it's very easy for me to believe in this because on one
Yes,
level,
I get your point, and you can continue with that. It's a very strong belief. It will work very well. Only
correct.
my point is, in things like asatya, in things like brahmacharya, indulgence, how will you employ it?
In all kinds of, this will work in interpersonal vitarka.
Yeah, that is what I felt. That she's saying that is a response to somebody's interaction.
No,
Whereas,
even to my own. For example, I have work to do, okay, and I'm not doing it. Instead of that, I am scrolling on my phone. Okay.
Maybe, yeah, there also you use the same concept.
Yeah, I mean,
If it works
I
for you,
know, yeah, I'm not able to work, so I'm just taking a break. I may not realize it in the moment. Of course, if I do it continuously, then I know I'm procrastinating or I'm being lazy. Then I just have to take a deep breath, tell myself, get back into action.
correct.
So, breathing is something that comes to me inherently in the moment, that it's course correction for me. Whether it is, I mean, of course, I didn't know about the process, but that's I've seen. I've said I just do that subconsciously. Do and get on with it.
That is why,
Hmm.
if it works for you, great.
Correct.
Employ that.
Sir,
पतंजलि इसके लिए क्या कहते हैं? पतंजलि करते हैं यथाभिमत ध्यानाद्वा, यथाभिमत ध्यानाद्वा, or else meditate on any desired, anything which is desired, whatever works for you. If it
sir,
really takes your flow of mind inwards towards the higher self, towards your higher version, it works. It's good. It's good for you. For somebody listening to music may work.
but Anupama ma'am told just now that breathing work on her. But this is a medical science. Because deep breathing always makes active vagus nerve, and vagus nerve is responsible for parasympathetic, that is relaxation. So I agree because I have done, I am convinced session on NLP. So I agree with Anupama ma'am. This is a basic thing, breath work.
Yeah, no, see, Pushpaji, for some people that breath may work, for some people something else may work. How we analyze it, how we translate it into the physiology, anatomy, it's our own thing.
The
Ultimately,
human anatomy, no, human anatomy works in every person in a
yeah,
similar way.
it will
Vagus nerve
work
is there,
everything, but everybody
vagus
need
nerve is
not
there
know
in
about
you
it,
and
na?
me and other.
Everyone need not have the knowledge of it. Everyone may pick up whatever works for him the best.
Correct.
If you want to put the light, you don't need to know how the wiring goes, how exactly what is the technology of the bulb, everything. You just know to put on the switch. That's all. So that's what I'm saying. That you find out what works for you. Here we are not here to understand the technology, understand the philosophy of this thing. Philosophy, it has its own place. We have passed that. Now we want to go in 2.0. We want to use it in our life. So change karo apne aap. That's what we want. So let's do this homework. We will try to find out how it works for each of us